it's funny. We all have a mutual friend who was debating a liberal on this over the last couple of days, and she sent all of us some screenshots of the debate that she was engaged in. It was this white, he wasn't Jewish, a white guy, cuck liberal guy, and she was hitting him with all this heat, all these hate facts on this issue, and he was in. We know this happens. We know that this happens. They become chameleons. They can shift and morph and shapeshift and adjust their narrative, whatever. But it was really, truly amazing to watch this happen, this way this guy contorted himself to preserve his narrative that little Ahmed was an electronics genius that's just tinkering around and wanted to bring in a clock that wasn't an assignment, just a clock that he built that he wanted to impress his teachers with. Like, that alone reveals it to me as phony. Who fucking just, I just wanted to impress my teachers. There was no science assignment for this. But it was amazing. And he was saying, like, this guy was saying things like, the teacher was obviously this stupid, and of course now this guy turns on public schools. When in any other context, I'm sure the public schools are completely sacrosanct. And in any other
no, Goy. This is in Texas, where the public schools are run by Bible-thumping
the public
weirdos.
Schools are run by stupid fundamentalist Christians.
They don't even teach
except
evolution.
That they're actually run by the same fucking people that run them in New Jersey.
Right.
But it's all fucking cat ladies, no matter where you go. But this teacher, this science teacher, was resentful of the fact that this 14-year-old Sudanese kid is obviously smarter than she is, and therefore reports him to the police. Like, that's like the hill this liberal was willing to die.
And he didn't even know that the engineering teacher didn't even report it to the police. It was, as I said, it was later on, like the English teacher did.
Yeah.
When the alarm went off. But yeah,
did you know anything about it? He assumed like white people saw a Muslim kid with electronics, freaked out, which honestly would be a justified reaction. But
but that's the narrative that's going to be pushed. And and the thing I wanted to say is that really the right in general, and anyone on the right who's not completely 100% cucked, I mean anyone who's just basically not as bad as Jeb Bush, we're all to some degree emotionally invested in in getting it right, in sort of debunking bullshit media narratives and kind of figuring out what's behind the spin and what's really going on. I mean, everyone from the more mainstream right to the alt-right, we're all kind of invested in that, and most people aren't. That's why they can believe things like Alger Hiss wasn't a communist. That's why 20 years from now, you're going to run into someone who's, you're going to run into a liberal who's now 60 years old who will say, yeah, remember when that innocent little Muslim kid who invented a clock went to jail for no reason? And you're going to fucking lose it. And it's because...
Did we not have clocks last week?
Right.
How did we get off using the word invented?
Yeah, implying he would have ever invented anything.
He invented clocks? We already had clocks. We had clocks in suitcases. We had clocks in boxes.
If we didn't have digital clocks, he wouldn't have had something to take apart.
There's a clock on my computer. There's a clock on my phone. There's a clock on my car stereo. There's a clock on everything I own has a clock attached to it. I mean, any one of us given the parts could assemble a fucking clock. All right?
I have like a thing full of parts. I could make one.
We could all make a fucking clock.
I could go to Radio Shack and buy a breadboard, and I could make it happen. I'm sure I could figure it out.
We could all figure out how to make a clock within a couple.
He didn't even do that. Like, if at least he had a little breadboard and he'd gotten a kit and whatever, he'd be like, okay, that's nice, kid, good job. But he didn't even do that. He just took he bought something at Radio Shack, pulled it out of its thing.
His father bought it.
His father bought it. His father probably unscrewed the screws himself.
I guarantee you his dad did all of it himself and gave it to him.
Right. But that's why...
He had no part of it.
But I'm just saying that's why psychologically most people still believe this bullshit years and years later for the fact because they have no emotional investment, no psychological investment in actually knowing what the truth is.
Well, they have the emotional investment. The emotional investment is being satisfied by the narrative, by the idea
they're invested
that
in
Whitey.
Okay.
Yeah,
they're invested.
There's a minority of white people, mostly Jews and white people out there. Well, Jews are leading it, but mostly white people are invested in resignaling. There's a minority out there that are invested in signaling and resignaling. The majority have no investment and just believe what is put in front of them. So I think that's what Hateful was saying.
Well, I actually think a lot of people are invested in signaling.
Okay. Yeah. No. There's a lot of people, but I don't think it's a majority. There's a lot. It's still quite a lot, though. You're right.
Well, I would say like nearly everyone I know, and maybe my sampling is okay. It's obviously not a representative sample.
Yeah.
But just about everyone I know at least had one Facebook post about, oh, poor little kid in Texas, blah blah blah, racism, and then of course they forgot about it the next day. But 10 years from now, they might remember it, but they're going to remember it as an innocent little boy who built a clock on his own, and his racist teachers discriminated against him for being Muslim, and these narratives, they all fit together as little pieces of a puzzle that shape the way those people see the world.
Yes.
So you put the fake story of Trayvon Martin, the fake story of Mike Brown, the fake story of little Ahmed, and all of these other fake stories that are total bullshit that they might not even remember the specifics of any of them, but they all paint a picture of an incredibly racist, oppressive United States that has something seriously psychotically wrong with it.
Yes.
Which is why they support retarded policies and why they vote for idiotic candidates who do awful things.